Lots to talk about on this final Friday before Christmas. A government shutdown now appears likely. We're following the possible effects of that, and we're monitoring the holiday getaway for you. Good morning, I'm Michelle Basch.
And I'm John Aaron. First up, countdown to shutdown on WTOP. The House has soundly defeated a Republican short-term spending plan that sought to avoid a partial government shutdown. The scramble continues to renegotiate a deal ahead of a midnight deadline. WTOP's Mitchell Miller has more today on the Hill.
House Speaker Mike Johnson had hoped the slimmed-down continuing resolution would pass with the backing of President-elect Trump, who had sought a key provision.
The only change in this legislation is that we are going to push the debt limit to January 30th of 2027.
But more than 3 dozen Republicans joined the overwhelming Democratic opposition, and the vote fell far short of the two-thirds majority needed to pass. The House's top Democrat, Hakeem Jeffries, criticized Johnson for the debt measure, arguing it's
designed to bring about a massive tax cut unpaid for.
After 2 major political setbacks, Johnson says Republicans will regroup, but the midnight shutdown deadline isn't far away. On Capitol Hill, Mitchell Miller, WTOP News.
And the lines continue to grow at area airports as the rush to get out of town for the holidays is in full swing. WTOP's Kyle Cooper is busy this morning at Reagan National.
People are headed to all kinds of places to spend the holidays.
Seattle?
Orlando.
Nassau, Bahamas.
And while there are some lines, they are moving quickly.
So far, about what I expected, maybe a little bit shorter.
Minnie Larry is a teacher in D.C. and is a little worried about the possibility of a government shutdown affecting her return trip to D.C.
My husband works to protect the American people. I just wish the American people who are in charge of running this country thought about us.
The good news is only a small percentage of TSA workers would not come to work if there is a shutdown. At Reagan National, Kyle Cooper, WTOP News.
And stay here with WTOP for the very latest on efforts to avoid that government shutdown and get people safely out of town for the holidays.
In other news this morning, preparations underway for major renovations at DC's Capital One Arena. The home of the Wizards and Capitals will essentially be a construction site for the next few years. WTOP's Nick Iannelli has the latest on the timeline.
Literally hundreds and hundreds of people have been working on this project.
Ted Leonsis, owner of the Capitals and Wizards, is releasing new information on how the $800 million renovation will play out. He says it starts now and should be done in time for the 2027 to 2028 NBA and NHL seasons. Capital One Arena will look completely different inside and out with the installation of cutting-edge technology and an overhaul of the exterior, among other things, bringing it in line with other newly constructed arenas around the country.
This building will once again serve as the catalyst for development and an economic engine that can help revitalize downtown D.C.
Nick Iannelli, WTOP News.
It's been more than 4 decades since 2 brutal sexual assaults in Montgomery County. Yesterday, 2 women attacked by the same man in 1981 were in court when he was sentenced. Now this morning, one victim is telling her story exclusively to our Neil Augenstein.
I was 21 years old.
We'll call her Jane. She remembers walking on University Boulevard and heard a man's footsteps.
We went down an embankment and he bound, gagged, blindfolded me, assaulted me, and raped me.
At the time, she was told fibers and hair specimens were collected.
I lived all these years in fear. This man had robbed me. He knew my address. He knew my name.
2 years ago, new DNA technology led cold case detectives to a North Carolina man, Marion Pearson, who just served 22 years for a series of rapes there. Yesterday, Jane and the other victim were in the courtroom as the 67-year-old Pearson was sentenced to 17 years in prison. She thinks Pearson's where he needs to be, protected from his faulty thinking and impulsive behavior, and protecting society. Neil Augenstein, WTOP News.
Coming up,
why some people are actually hoping for a housing market crash. I'm Jeff Claybaugh.
Traffic and weather in 30 seconds.
You're